Now, in CSS, we can align text within a container as we would normally be able to in, say, a word processor, or using, unconventional methods of alignment in HTML and specifying it within styles, or doing something like the following: center, and then ending a center tag somewhere down here. Now, on my page at the moment, I just have a paragraph with a class of column, and I've got a significant amount of text in here that's going to allow us to style this. I've linked a primary CSS file, a style sheet, into my document, and I've got that here empty. And in my browser, I have the text that you've just seen in my text editor, but completely unstyled. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive in and start to style this. We're going to give it a width, we're going to give it a bit of padding, and we're going to go ahead and start to align it. So we're almost going to try and achieve a sort of column effect. Nothing too unlike that you'd see in a newspaper or something like that. So let's go ahead and start styling this up. Now, the first thing we want to go ahead and do is select this column class. So we've got column here. So column. Now we want to go ahead and give this a width. So width of, let's say, 200 pixels. And then let's go ahead and give this a, we don't need to give it a height. So when we refresh the page, you can see that everything's been sort of pulled down a bit. In fact, let's make it a tiny bit smaller, and that's just going to make it a little bit easier to style or see our result. There we go, perfect. Okay, so at the moment, everything is by default left aligned. So the text align property at the moment doesn't exist, but our browser will automatically align everything left. Okay, so let's go ahead and just add a bit of padding to this this paragraph, and we'll give it 5 pixels padding. Let's go over to our browser and refresh. You can see that's been pulled in a bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give a border left property and a border right property. So border left, border right. So don't worry too much if you are unfamiliar with this syntax, but I'm going to give it a pixel, 1 pixel solid and black, and the same with this as well, 1 pixel solid and black. So now what you see is 2 lines down the side of this paragraph, and that's going to make it easier for us to see where the text sits on the page, so we can keep an eye on that. Okay, so now everything inside of this paragraph we want to control the alignment of. So we want to do this using CSS. We don't want to do this using any markup whatsoever. We want to keep everything within our style sheet, which is extremely important because it means that we are, we're being a lot more efficient. We're not adding unnecessary markup to the page, and it means that if we want to come back and make a change, we don't have to make changes to our page. We can just make a change to our style sheet, and let's say, instead of having everything right aligned, we wanted everything central or justified, we can go ahead and do that. So the property that we need to be using is text hyphen align. And we can either choose left, right, auto, but that's just, how it would normally sit with the browser. We can choose justify with an S, justify. And we can also use center as well, which is usually extremely important. So text align left, that's just going to give us the default style. When we refresh, nothing changes. We can now change this, go ahead and change this to right. When I refresh, you can see everything is shifted and aligned to the right. Again, like I said at the start of the tutorial, much like a word processor. Now let's go ahead and take a look at center. Refresh, everything's central. Now this text align center does actually bear an extremely useful use of aligning elements as well as text. not strict. I guess it's not strictly allowed or strictly seen as good practice, but it works. Anyway, justify as well will justify the text, so it will span it across the entire width of the element, and it will create the gaps in between. Now, the only thing it won't do is it won't cut words off short. It's not that clever. That would have to be something that you would do with either an external script, or you'd have to do it manually, which would be, would cause odd results at some point or another, or you'd have to do it in some kind of back-end script, which again would cause odd, weird results. So the best we can really do with CSS at the moment is we can justify it if we need that kind of newspaper column look. But overall, we've got text align left, which would be the default style, as well as auto. If we set it to auto and refresh, it does, what you'd expect. It does it doesn't do anything. Maybe you can't use that property actually. Maybe I'm wrong. Sorry. So we've got left, we've got right, we've got center, which comes in handy, and we have got justify. Okay, so that is a basic tutorial on how to align text with the CSS text align property.